Hi, my name is Leighton Jin. I'm the Director of Development for the American Documentary and Animation Film Festival, also known as AmDocs. We have a very special guest today, Meredith Yinger of She TV Media, and she's also the director of Scars Unseen, which will be screening on our opening day. And Meredith, can you tell people a little bit what Scars Unseen is about?
Yeah, so thank you first of all for having me. We're so excited to be included in this amazing festival. We love Palm Springs, and I'm excited to be part of it. And Scars Unseen is this incredible story of three women who have not only overcome domestic violence, but are also on a mission to pay it forward. And we follow three incredible women who have these inspiring stories and really hoping to give the audience, a feeling that they can always change their own narrative and to feel empowered and inspired by these women and the techniques and tools that they've kind of used to heal from trauma and then also pay it forward into the world.
And that just seems like a very important story. We were talking about, several years ago where they were talking about the Me Too movement, and then you start getting surprised by how many women were going through, just such a toxic atmosphere. But um, there's a lot of courageous women coming through domestic violence and other kind of traumas. How did you find that your three subjects, and can you talk to me about each one a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. And just to tack on to what you said, it used to be one in four women affected, and in the post-COVID world, it's now one in three. So that's kind of a very astonishing number and increase that affects so many people. And I thought that was really beautiful to lean into that statistic of one in three, and we have these three incredible stories that we focus on. So we have,
Can I, can I interrupt you with that a little
yeah.
bit? You said one in four and one in three. Do you think there's I know that you mentioned increase in COVID, but how much is it is also women being braver to come out and say, "Hey, I've been a victim," where maybe in the past they wouldn't speak out. Do you have any kind of feel for that part?
Yeah, I can't speak statistically on, what the numbers are, but I am hopeful that people are feeling more encouraged and that there are more resources available when people are coming forward and that the initial reaction, of the public isn't to discredit anymore. I think that's another thing that's also makes coming forward very challenging. Oftentimes women don't believe that they're going to be believed or that they'll be blamed. The victim blaming is very strong. And so I do hope that, we're in a time where this can be received and believed, and then women can be helped through the process. But COVID definitely exacerbated a lot of underlying issues, especially the physical restraint that COVID placed on everyone. That exacerbated women being stuck in the home or you being stuck in a physical location with your abuser and not able to like escape or go somewhere and find that kind of relief. So that's
Mhm.
definitely one of the big indicators too.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you on your mindset, but because when you talk about it, it just kind of triggered that with me. It's just I feel like because there's more information, there's more conversation about it. It empowers the women to say, "Oh, I don't want to deal with this anymore," and speak up. So, which I think that's also attributed what you're doing with your film is you're putting a spotlight on this issue, and hopefully more women will see it. And if they are in a bad situation, they'll come up and say, no more. But back to the original question, the three your three subjects, how did you come across them?
So we have Maha, Trish, and Adrian as our leading ladies, I like to call them. And and Trish, I met back in the day. It's been so long now, but probably 2018, 2017. And initially through her nonprofit, we were filming some videos for promotional purposes for them. And initially we thought, maybe we'll just tell Trisha's story because she's been doing decades of this incredible work through her nonprofit Safe Passage, and then through Trish and filming for her nonprofit, we actually filmed and met Maha, who was speaking at a conference that Trish was also speaking on behalf of, and hearing Maha's incredible story, just felt like, okay, we need to sort of expand this and incorporate more voices and the subject isn't a one size fits all. So I thought incorporating varying degrees and different scenarios is really important. And we show that with Adrian's story as well. And Adrian found us through the crowdfunding campaign, actually, and really wanted to just like get involved and support. And she ended up being our third lady, leading lady. So it was nice. And I think it's a broad showing of the ways that domestic violence can look and the different forms that trauma can take, the different responses that happen, as well as sort of giving a little bit of insight into some healing techniques and what works for them. And hopefully, those watching maybe can take and create their own journey forward in healing.
Yeah, and it sounds like a great concept because it's, I'm sure as traumatic as it is, you're showing people to come through on the other side and how it's possible and how these three remarkable women have done it. Um, what did you learn from doing this film? Obviously, you talked about three different women, so it's very broad perspectives. What kind of things did you learn that maybe you didn't strike you before you made the film?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I learned so much through this process, just on the filmmaking side of things, but also just like on the learning and other side of, working with domestic violence organizations. And I just kind of really took away how much trauma affects us all on different varying levels, and there's so many different ways that you can experience trauma. And I think more than anything, it kind of opened my eyes into the lack of supportive systems and resources that there are available. It's kind of a very complex issue. You talk about just the ability to come forward, right, and share your story or to say that this is happening to you. But then it's like, okay, well, once that person has come forward, what can we offer? What do our systems have to support them or provide services? And I think that that's very lacking as well. And I would encourage like everyone to just be more trauma informed in general. And I think the more that we can incorporate trauma informed care into every single system that we have, the better off everyone will be, because trauma is the leading cause of a lot of issues that we see out in the world. And if we can legally and systemically approach things from just that trauma informed awareness perspective, I think we'll see a lot more, expression of humanity and just support and compassion and community.
And this all started with you working with Trish and her nonprofit. Can you talk about some of your initial thoughts about that nonprofit and some of the messaging you did? Because obviously that kind of triggered you creating this film. What were the things that you learned there initially that really inspired you to pursue this?
I think that Trish's nonprofit Safe Passage, their approach is really interesting, because it's sort of a whole person approach, to helping women and children get out of domestic violence situations. It isn't just a physical removal. There's also workshops in terms of like resources for resume building, for confidence, for how to interview, how to dress yourself, and really kind of changing from the outside in or inside out, I guess, approach,
Mhm.
to having the chance and opportunity to sort of start fresh and to continue to rebuild and change what you want your future to look like. And I thought that was really amazing, and inspiring as well, because there's just so many layers and ways that it impacts you, that the more resources and the more approaches that you can have, the better off, for a long-term change or success or healthier relationship, or, rebuilding sort of like your self-worth and your confidence. Those things are really important too, to focus on. And I thought it was really beautiful that they focus on that.
You kind of hinted on it earlier. You said abuse takes many forms. So I think we always think about domestic violence. We think about the violence part, but what about the emotional damage? Because sometimes it's just the verbal beating down and just taking away someone's self-esteem. How much of that is covered in your film?
Yeah, we definitely touch on like the emotional and psychological effects that trauma can have, because, like the title says, most of the scars are unseen and most of the trauma is unseen, and it's not a physical bruise necessarily, because there's so many different varying levels of abuse, whether that be emotional, psychological, like financial. There's just so many different topics, and we couldn't cover everything in the film, but we tried to give a wide enough, top-down approach, and sort of piece together all of the different types and forms, and then give, through these three incredible women's testimonies, what helped them and how that looked from a first person perspective.
And then, as we see on your side, She TV Media. Can you talk to me a little bit about your company and a little bit about your mission statement?
Yeah, definitely. So She TV Media is full service video production company and really focused on telling untold and empowering stories through commercials and documentaries primarily. And Scars Unseen was the first feature documentary, so very excited to have that out in the world, and in development on the second feature documentary at the moment. So excited to kind of lean more into the long form content world.
Anything you can share with us about the your next project?
Yeah, I can share you a little bit. The next project is called Vulva Revolution, and it focuses on starting a sexual health revolution specifically within women's health care. So very topical, very excited, and still along the lines of, creating empowering content.
And that, I guess that's part of your mission statement, is creating empowering content. Just out of curiosity, what kind of challenges have you faced with obviously people talk about the disparities of filmmakers and directors, especially when it comes to gender. What kind of challenges have you faced, and what kind of things have you learned, and what kind of advice would you give to this next generation coming up?
Yeah. Oh man, if I
A
could
lot.
summarize all the challenges. No, it is. I mean, filmmaking in general is a very challenging, anything in entertainment, any art form, right? There's definite challenges. I would say from the funding aspect, even as a female-owned company, women-owned companies receive like less than 1.5% of VC funding. So if you even take that as the broad view, and then even, in within the entertainment industry, within documentaries, as a female filmmaker, it does dwindle a bit, and the numbers are kind of astonishing. So just from a statistical standpoint, there are challenges, but I also think we are in a good place now, hopefully, in terms of people being aware of that, and there are more opportunities. And I think the best advice that I could give is just to be your own advocate, and that's just kind of across the board in any element or any industry that you are in. You kind of have to be your own hype person, and if you're not out there, promoting yourself and talking to people and doing the thing, no one else is going to do it for you. So, especially if you have a project that you are so passionate about, it's almost impossible to ask a crew, producers, people to be as passionate about it as you are. Like they can get close, oftentimes you can be lucky and form a team that has the same mission and is goal oriented like you, and you align, but also you've just got to be that train, that moving force of keeping the momentum going, and whatever that looks like for you. So I would just say, if you believe strongly enough, like do it, go out and do it yourself. Because you can't just wait for someone else to tell you it's time. You've just got to do it.
Well, that's great. That's inspiring too, as well as these stories. Can we also talk about the timing of your film? Obviously, there's a lot going on in this country and stuff like that. Can we talk a little about the timing of your film, and also how important it is for documentaries during this time? Because obviously, I used to be a journalist, and we see journalism shrinking, so that means there's less content, and that means there's less reporting and stuff like
Yeah.
that. How important do you think it is during this time it is for you as a documentary filmmaker and documentary filmmaking as a whole during these, I think it's safe to say these are very turbulent times.
Yeah, I think now more than ever, we need independent filmmakers and journalists and documentarians telling stories. I think especially given, the landscape, it is like imperative that we have these stories, that aren't necessarily mainstream, stories that might not be covered by the media all the time. I think it's really, really important to support filmmakers, to support indie film, to support especially documentary filmmakers because we need these stories and these stories give us hope, but also showcase from varying viewpoints, things that you might not necessarily be exposed to or that you might not know is even going on that does affect you or that policies that affect you or, social goings on that are just, you know, out there, but you've never heard about it or thought about how it really is impacting. And I think filmmaking in general has such an opportunity to generate change and to change laws and to create a culture, of belief. And I think we need it now, now more than ever. So any foundations, any people out there, I'm like support the indie artists, create opportunities, incubators. We really, really need it.
And then on a lighter note, have you ever been to Palm Springs before? And what are you looking forward to when you come out here for the festival?
Yes, I have been to Palm Springs. I'm an LA native, so Palm Springs was always that cool getaway, on the weekends, even going back to old Hollywood glamour times, where all the celebrities used to have their homes out, second homes out there. I'm very excited to be part of this festival and to see Palm Springs and the clean air and just be around different scenery.
Well, cleanish. We're still close to the Salton Sea. So, and
Cleanish.
yeah, and just so people know, we do have some features on the Salton Sea as well. If you don't know what I'm talking about. Well,
Yeah.
Meredith, I think that's going to cover it. Unless there's something I missed, I really appreciate taking the time to speak to me. And we also really appreciate Meredith has really been active on social media, really promoting the film and promoting the festival. So I just want to say thank you for doing all that, and we're looking forward to seeing your feature, which is going to be very important. It's going to hopefully help a lot of people and open a lot of eyes. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be out there. And anyone listening, come on down March 27th, 4:30 p.m. We would love to see you.
Oh, happy hour.
We can make a
And
lot of happy in that hour.
And so, just to remind everyone, the American Documentary Animation Film Festival is March 27th through 31st at the Palm Springs Cultural Center. Tickets are available now on our website. We look forward to seeing you there. We have a great program this year, and coming out and be enlightened. And Meredith, thank you so much, and don't forget about Scars of Scene 4:30 on March 27th. It should
Thank
promise to
you.
be a very powerful one. Thanks again, Meredith.
Thank you so much.